Okay, so for today's class, we're going to talk about text, caption, and subtitles editing. So we're going to learn how we can add text to our videos in Capcut. So you're going to click on new video, go to the Capcut library, and you scroll and search for a white background. For the purpose of this class, we'll be using a white background, but you can use your video or any video of your choice. So you just can search for the white background. But I'm going to go to my favorite because I already made it a favorite, so it's just going to pop up here. Okay, so I'm going to select this, add. Very good. So yes, so now I want to add text to our video, right? So now how do we add text to our video? We'll go to the text option here, or we'll go to text here. So now click on text. And now the purpose of adding text to our video is to show the viewers what we are saying on the video, especially for viewers that might be watching their videos without sound. Okay, so in order to add text, right, you can click on add text here. You have your auto caption, you have your stickers, you have your draw. This is where you just sketch around. You have your text template, your text to audio, and all of that. So the one we'll be working with is the add text. Alright, so you add your text, and when you add your text, you type in your text here, and you can say cohort 3, right? Let's say this is our heading. You're not seeing it because the color of the text is white, so I'm just going to change that to black so we can see it. Then we'll go to template. So in CapCut, you have various options, right? You have the template option. Now the template option give you options to just select from, or give you design on how your text can look, okay, or how you want your text to look or appear in your video, right? So it's like kind of like a pre-built text, and when you select them, you can always get to edit them. For example, I want to make use of this particular text, right? So I'm going to template here, so I'm going to click on it and wait for it to load. When it loads, this is what it's going to show. So you can type in your text and you can select your template and it will apply to your text, right? So you can make use of any template of your choice, right? Depending on how you want it to look like, okay? So we're going to default. So sorry, I'm going to change it back to black. So that is for template. I have various options in template. So next you have your font. In font, you have various options to select from different fonts. So now it's advisable, right, that you use thick font for your headings, for your major headings, or for text that you want that particular text to stand out. Use thick fonts like this, right? Use thick font. So for the purpose of this class, I'll be using this one, right? Remember, in order to increase the size, you can either zoom in to reduce, zoom out to increase, okay? So, and you have various font options here. Then we'll go to style. So in our style, this is where we add colors and designs to our text, right? So in our styles, we have different styles here. First, you have your text where you select the different colors for your text, right? Different colors for your text. If you want to make it, orange, yellow, red, purple, blue, green, whichever color you want to work with. So I'm selecting black. Then next you have your stroke. These are the lines or border around your text. So I'm going to select, ash, right? let me select yellow. So you can see the border around your text. So you can reduce how thick the border is going to be if you want it to have border. Okay, for me, I do not want that for the purpose of this class, but you can do that here. Then you have your glow, right? Your glow is just effects. You want to just have that glow. You can come here and do it, and here you can increase the intensity. You can change the color, right? The same thing with this one. You can increase the intensity and you can change the color. Then you have your background. That is if you want to add like a background to the text. Okay, I do not want that. You have shadow, right? So you can increase or reduce the transparency of your shadow. Opacity means transparency, just so you know. You can increase or reduce the blur effect. You can increase or reduce the distance the shadow is from the text itself. You can also increase at what angle do you want the text shadow to be. Okay, so I don't need this. I'm going to remove this. Sorry. Okay. Then for curve, if you want to curve your text, you can drag this to select whatever angle you want to curve it to. Then spacing, just the line spacing, the character spacing. Yeah, so this is where you come to apply that. Okay, the same thing with the scale. The scale helps to increase and reduce the size of your text. And this is how you get to align your text. Okay, you have your bold, your italic, your underline. If you want to line, if you want to make it italic, if you want to make it bold. Okay, then you have your case. Do you want everything uppercase, lowercase, or standard casing? So I think we'll go for standard casing. So that is all for styles. Next, you have your effects. You have different designs of effects here from which you can select from. And next, you have your animation, right? Now, your animation, you have your in, out, and loop. Your in is how your text pops up in your video, how it's going to come in, and your out, the out animation is how your text is going to leave the screen. While the loop is just a repeated transition that it's going to do repeatedly on your screen, right? So here is a perfect example of the in. Here is another example of the in. Here is another example of the in. And you can also increase or reduce the duration of the animation below here. You can increase, you can reduce how long or how many seconds you want the the animation to last, right? You can also add out how do you want it to leave your screen, right? I want it to leave like that, and I'm going to add the duration here. So you have loop, you have various options, so you can go here and just basically, explore. Then you have bubbles. Bubbles are another style on how you want your text to look, right? The designs you would want to give to your text to just, make it stand out more, right? So when you're done setting everything, you just click on good, right? So now from the beginning, when we play, our text comes in like this and our text goes out like that, right? Very good. So now, let's say this is our heading. I want to add more text, right? You can add more text by clicking on the text. Click on add text, and you can just, type in your text, right? Now, how do you type in? You just, like what we did before, you just type in your text. So we'll just say code 3, then we'll say video editing, okay? So for this one, I'm going to make it a bit smaller. I can use just maybe a fancy text. Okay, I'm just looking for something maybe just fancy. Okay, I think I'll just go with this. Then I would reduce the size, right? I reduce the size, just pinch it, reduce the size. And I can choose to place it wherever I want. So let's say I want to place it there. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to drag the text to where I want it to start from. So let's say I want it to start from somewhere here, which is the second text. So I'm going to just trim it to that point, right? So I'll have something like this, right? But you can see this one just pops up like that. No, so now what am I going to do? I'm going to add an animation to it on how I want it to come up to the screen. So let me just say I want to add slide up, right? So I have something like this, right? Just simple, basic adding text and animation. Okay, all right. So that's what I can say. Chords, video editing, chords. That's called 3 video editing, right? So let's say I want to add another one. Then I can make this one say training. Okay. So I'm going to look for a font for that one. So I'm just going to look for something nice, something to just make it stand out a bit, right? So I want the T to be in small letter. Yeah, I want the T to be in small letter. Okay, let me try. Okay, I think I like this, so I can just reduce it and put it somewhere. Let's see, somewhere below here, just because I just want it to look colorful. Or I can actually slant it. I can use my hand to, adjust it on how it should look. So I think I'll put it here. So now I can choose to change the color. So let's say for the first one, I want to use, for the first one, so if you want to make an edit to it, you select, you can click the biro, or you can click on style, right? So I'll go to styles, and let's say I want to select a color. So color of our community is purple, but it's not this deep purple. So I'm just going to come here and just search for a much better shade of purple. Okay, I think this is okay, right? So let's say for the second one, I want to change the color to, let me say, still purple, but kind of like a lighter shade of purple, right? Okay, something like this, right? So for the last one, I have not added an animation, so I think I'm going to add an animation. And the animation I want to add would be, I wanted something that would, probably come from the left. I wanted something that would probably come from the left. But you can just, get to just go and explore, right? So let's just say I select that, and for color, right, I go with purple, but maybe like a darker shade of, this is almost black though, but like just a darker shade of purple. Okay, So when I play everything, I have something like this, right? So I've added text and I've added animation to my text. So remember, you can select your text and you can add your text anywhere you want on your screen, to anywhere you want on your screen. Okay? So that's how you get to add your text, you get to add your animation, change color, and all of that. So now when we look at the audio, sorry, I said audio. When we look at the text, you have your auto caption. This is a pro feature. This helps you generate captions for videos, like talking head videos. If you want to generate captions for them, you use this, right? So that as this person is talking, what the person is saying is popping up on the screen. You use this. Then you can add stickers. Okay, stickers are used to express yourself, like I made mention of in the class, right? Stickers are meant to express yourself. You can also have designs and various stickers, right? So let's say I want to add this bow sticker. Once I select it, I can, adjust it to where I would want it to be. Let's say I want it to be somewhere here, right, at the ending. So that means this is going to come after the training transition comes. So I'm just going to drag this. I'm going to drag this back a bit, right? So I'm going to drag this. So you can add animation to your stickers. So let's say what type of animation am I going to add, right? So let's say I want to add an unfolding, a paper fold animation, or I wanted something like a pop-up, right? Yeah, bouncing. Very good. So I have something like this. Very beautiful and very simple, right? So that's for stickers. For draw, these are just like, freehand, where you get to draw, you just get to draw on your screen, right? Or you just get to draw on your screen, right, with your hand. But you do not need this. Then you have your text template, which we already talked about. You have your text to audio, which I mentioned of. I discussed about this in when we talked about audio. So this is also here, right? So that is that, and all you need to know about text and how to add text to your video. So if you have questions or you need clarity, please do it to ask your questions. Thank you and goodbye.